All right, Joel. We're LinkedIn Live. Hey, this is LinkedIn Live number 85, and my guest today is Joel Kirstein from Texas. Him and I have been connected on LinkedIn for a very long time. I'd say 8, 9, 10 years, right?
I think almost 10 years, Randall. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you remember the days when it was all about sharing somebody else's content, like a professional journalist.
Yes.
Their content, we'd share it, and but 5, 6 years later down the road, after we got going with it, they started letting us do our own stuff. So look at this, we're doing our own stuff right now.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Hey, look, we're not. I don't consider myself a professional journalism person by any means, but you are a professional branding guy. I would say that. And
yes.
Hey, and Joel, the thing that I like is the fact that you actually spent all your time in my category, and that's the food and beverage category.
Absolutely. I've been at it for 37 years. Worked my way up in what used to be a business model, ad agencies and branding firms, from a designer through to art director. I've been a creative director for 25 years. I've been very, very fortunate that I've worked on an eclectic array and dream team of Fortune 500 brands like Kraft, ConAgra Foods, people like Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, Pillsbury, just to name a few. There's so many of them. And I've been very lucky to work on in the area of everything from shopper marketing to experiential out-of-home retailtainment events, event marketing, as it were, and also, obviously, product packaging design, where I've done probably in my career, I would say, well over 500 different types of package design for food brands, everything from national brands and category leaders to, over the last 33 years, private label brands. I've seen private label brands go from being hidden in the shadows of retail. Now that private label brands are front and center at eye level and on retail shelves, where the quality is terrific, equal to and sometimes surpassing national brands. And also you get more bang for your buck price-wise. So I'm very, very proud of the fact that within the private label brand space, I've been able to have impact in moving the needle forward as far as what the private label industry has accomplished. So what I do is typically I'll work with co-packers and contract manufacturers. They have an idea, they want to get it onto shelf. They come to somebody like me because they typically don't have an in-house creative department, and they need somebody like myself to design the logo, design the packaging. And then it's been, in the last 10 years, really exciting that it extends to areas like shopper marketing, displays, POP, POS, and we're even seeing, Randall, within private label branding, like national brands and category leaders, where private label brands are also buying licenses from entertainment studios and pro sports leagues to put their borrowed equity on the packaging to help raise awareness. And that's very, very exciting. It's a lot of fun. And all I can tell you is, people ask me, how come you do so much work, Joel, in food? When I got out of school and I got my graphic design degree from the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, one of the things my dad said to me is he believed, and this is 1983, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, he said to me, to the best of his intellect, that food will never be replaced and eating will never be replaced by technology. So I hitched my wagon to that star, not only working on a lot of really great food brands, I've also worked on a tremendous amount of Fortune 500 restaurant brands like Fridays, Burger King, Yum brands like KFC. I've worked on some other brands like Little Caesars, and I've been very, very fortunate to be able to go back and forth from restaurants to CPG food brands, and I really, really enjoy it a lot. And I'm very passionate about food. I'm a very big, being here in Texas, I'm a very big barbecue guy. And one of the things that I'm trying to do, I've made over $100 million in new business wins for a litany of different type of Fortune 500 brands. I'm trying to get my own line of barbecue sauce into the market space. And right now, because of the pandemic, unfortunately, I'm a COVID casualty because nothing's going to move forward until all of this is past us. So that brings you up to date on everything I've done and where I'm at right now.
Well, one thing I asked you before we did this, I asked you, well, what brands did you work on? And then within seconds, okay, I got you. So you've worked with you worked with a whole bunch of different brands. And
oh, absolutely. People like Pepsi's, Campbell's, on top of the other brands that I mentioned. It really varies. But the only brands that I've worked on that weren't food related were people like OTC remedies for Pfizer, for GSK, but almost exclusively it's been on food related brands. Besides, I've worked 3 times in my career on the Dr. Pepper account. I've worked on Pepsi twice. I've also gotten to work on water brands like Evian and also Fiji water too.
By the way, Dr. Pepper's right in your backyard, right?
Yeah, I'm in Dallas. I live in the far north corner of Dallas. They're about a 10-15 minute drive away from me up here in Plano. I've also been very fortunate to do a lot of work in candy and confection specific to seasonal gift sets. Seasonal gift sets are a really great category that I'm also very passionate about, because if you want to get into retail, one of the things, Randall, that's really great about seasonal gift sets is, as opposed to a day-to-day product like a barbecue sauce, let's say like KC Masterpiece, if you're a brand like them, you have to deal with a return policy, you have to deal with an exit strategy, whereas, and I'm simplifying this for brevity, but with a seasonal gift set, the great thing about that is that if you go to an event like ECRM and you meet with all these retail buyers and they like what you're offering, and the way the pricing and the production is structured so that it makes sense to them, because they're only going to do business with you if you're making money. They're not going to do business with you if you're losing money just to get your foot in the door. They're not interested in that. So, and I've had a lot of success over the last 12 years at ECRMs. So what happens is that if they like your seasonal gift set, all they have to do is buy that seasonal gift set. You don't have to worry about any exit strategies, about return policies, about anything else that a day-to-day product would do. And the great thing also about seasonal gift sets, and in general, when you're doing licensed retail product, licensed branded retail product, so if you're doing product for Fridays or for Checkers Rallies or for Arby's, all of those brands typically have either frozen appetizers, or for instance, like Arby's, they have frozen French fries in every grocery store across the country. It's great brand extension. In the food industry, that's the low-hanging fruit, and the conventional wisdom has been for a long time that it helps elevate your restaurant brand when people see your bag of frozen French fries, like from Red Robin and from other restaurant brands, in the frozen French fry bunker at Walmart or wherever you may shop to do your groceries. What happens is it raises top-of-mind awareness. And it's been proven to drive sales. So I've been very fortunate to do work in that space. And then going back to seasonal gift sets, I've been phenomenally fortunate to be able to work with all the pro sports leagues, plus NASCAR, plus the NCAA. I've also done a lot of licensing work with all the major studios, which is a lot of fun. So people like Universal, Sony, Fox. I've done a lot of things with Marvel, and it's so much fun to work in that space. And I've had success where back in 2004 with Dr. Pepper, while I was working at an ad agency up in the Midwest, we convinced Dr. Pepper to allow us to put Marvel superhero images from Spider-Man 2 on the cans. So they gave up a bit of their brand equity and their real estate for our idea, which was to make the cans collectible. And that was phenomenally successful. So I've been very, very fortunate to be able to do some incredibly proprietary level stuff that's a lot of fun, very high profile, drives sales, the brands embrace fully, and it's really, really all about the foundation of my branding architecture success has been understanding and learning a food client's basically their organizing principle horizontally and vertically is making sure that I understand their production, their transportation needs, finding out, like, for instance, working on the Campbell Soup account, working 18 months in advance, finding out what their tomato crop is like in 2020 is going to drive what they will and won't do and what they can and can't do with inventory for 2022. It works that far in advance. And basically what I did, Randall, was I went to clients and I said, I want to understand every aspect of your business model, of your organizing principle, so I could make recommendations based on I know, not I think, and based on what your needs and challenges are. And I believe that that's been the foundation of my success architecture. So I'm very happy that a lot of brands set me up to succeed that way.
Let me ask you this. I started in the grocery industry in '76 with Winn-Dixie, and then I worked with A&P.
Okay.
And then I worked with National Canal Villery, which was owned by Loblaw.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Private label back then, if I'm not mistaken, everything was basic. There was no trademark deals at all, right? As far as private label was concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny that you mentioned Loblaws because originally I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I got to work on two private label branders, both in Montreal and then when I moved to Toronto, Cott Beverages and
right.
Loblaws. So one a manufacturer and the other one a retailer who became a private label brand manufacturer, who are at the vanguard in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and moving the needle forward in private label branding. And they were really hugely responsible for the penetration of private label brands at groceries over the last 20 years here in the United States. Cott Beverages, for at a time, had the lion's share of every single retail account from Walmart to Safeway, Albertsons, Kroger, and more, as far as fulfilling all of their private label brand water.
And the average consumer doesn't even know they exist. You know, the average consumer is not aware of them, but if they knew who was behind the label, then they would say, "Wow, they got quite a bit of business."
Absolutely.
I ran into them at PLMA many a times.
Yeah, I used to go to PLMA all the time, and I got a lot of business there. One of the interesting things about Loblaws, and I'm glad that you brought them up, Loblaws started marketing into the U.S. in the probably late 80s, early 90s, their private label brand, President's Choice. So they were selling it into people like as diverse as Wegmans in upstate New York and on the East Coast, and even all the way down to Publix in Florida and some other players in the grocery space. And their products, they really proved that you could put out a competing private label brand that's equal to, if not better than, in taste and value and quality, the national brands and category leaders at a tremendous price, at a much lower price than those category leaders.
And the thing that comes to my mind back in the early 80s was the President's Choice chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
For some reason, I don't know if that was their best item. They were best well known for that or something, but that I just remember that from the early 80s.
Absolutely. And when I moved to Toronto 30 years ago, and I was doing work for a branding house there called the Watt Group, who was legendary in private label brand, they had us working on soda can designs. They had us working on water labels and all kinds of things like that. And that really helped me cut my teeth to understand the sensibility and really what I called the zeitgeist of what is private label branding. And I really believe that those two companies, caught Beverages and also Loblaws, were so instrumental and influential in moving the needle forward in PLBs, because without them, they really, private label brands would not be where they are today. And when we were going through the recession that started over 10 years ago, and only recently we got out of it, private label brands got a higher level of retail shelf penetration in those almost 10 years than they did in the previous 50 years combined before that. And now people see that when they go into Walmart and they see the Great Value brand, you know, they're impressed. It doesn't look like a generic brand. It doesn't look like something that's like a cheap knockoff of a national brand or a category leader. It is a standalone quality, top-notch brand in value and in flavor, and that's really really important.
I think that's what it comes down to is if you have a good quality product and you have the package to go with it.
Yes,
it doesn't matter if you've been in the business for 80 years. You know, in that particular category, you could come out with a great, super fantastic product, put the right package together, and you can do very, very well with it. It's amazing. Some of the you know, I try a lot of different things, and it's funny. If you remember back in the 70s and 80s, people wouldn't want to admit that I have the private label from the grocery store chain.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what we grew up with. I mean, that's what the way people felt. But today it's a whole new ball game. Sometimes if you want to go upscale, sometimes it's a private label item from a major, you know, grocery store chain.
Absolutely.
No question about that. So the graphics have to match. Unfortunately, the graphics have to match the quality of the product. You can't, you know, put a great, super fantastic product together that's quality and then put it in a bad package. Absolutely. Or inexpensive package.
Absolutely. To your point, Randall, you know, I'd say about 30 years ago, you know, the order of the day for private label brand was cheap and cheerful. And basically there wasn't much deviation from that. And then within about the last 10 years, two interesting things happened. One, the recession opened up grocery store shelves for more opportunity because the retailers didn't want to pay slotting fees. So this was a golden opportunity for contract manufacturers and co-packers who had great relationship with grocery chains to get brands on the shelf. And the co-packers and the contract manufacturers, they weren't looking to turn into, you know, a different type of business model. They just wanted to make money. And they said, listen, you can, Mr. Grocery Chain, be it Kroger or Albertsons or Publix or Piggly Wiggly or whoever it is, they said you can put whatever logo you want on it, yours, or create your own, and we'll provide you with the product. And now they weren't looking for exclusively cheap and cheerful anymore. Now they were looking, to your point, Randall, they were looking at middle of the road, higher end, and also premium too. So that was a paradigm shift. And the other thing that happened that was really, really exciting for me, at least, was the fact that private label brands used to kind of stay in their lane, and they were basically, you know, dry goods, frozen foods, and more or less, obviously, they were in health and beauty care, but they wouldn't really expand out. And what happened was, during the recession, the bandwidth for PLBs just got to a horizon point you couldn't even see anymore. And that was great for me. So it started going into not just beverages like water and soda. It started going into, at the time, what was a really big deal was things like cold coffee drinks, getting into fruit drinks, getting into all different kinds of areas. Like here's a good example. Private label brands were hugely successful at when the product Mio came out, where you squeeze some flavor into water and it gives it flavor. The private label brand space took over that category and redefined it and now owns it. And that's really, really, very, very, I think that's a very, very significant thing within private label brands.
Well, what I was going to tell you is that there's a lot of perishable items that you would have never dreamed of having a store brand. And I've seen a lot of different things where the tonnage is not there. It's not a high volume item, but the chain decides, hey, I'm gonna put my name on that too. If you have, if you know exactly what your business is going to be in a particular area, why not? If you're able to do that. So the retail situation is just changing every week, and just
absolutely.
I don't know what's going to happen. Now, one thing I can tell you, I feel that there's a lot of categories that are enjoying unbelievable extra, bump in business.
Right.
But they have to realize that's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen to where. So the thing is, what I say is that any category that has the luxury of being up 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80%.
Yeah.
Has to save for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Because the food service operations are not just going to sit back and completely go out of business. I don't know where that's going to go, but I'll tell you what, if they come back, it's going to be rough on the retail.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, and I think the one way that retailers can get around this, and you bring up a really, really astute observation, is I predict that Walmart will go direct. Like here in Texas, what's really great about living here in Dallas is, fresh products, produce, vegetables and fruit. The majority of what I buy is all grown here in Texas. So there's less cost involved. To bring it into the stores in Texas is a big plus, because you get more bang for your buck, because your dollar goes further. So what I believe, and I predict this, Walmart is going to, Randall, go directly to the farms and basically try to cut out the food service companies and say, we want to have Walmart blueberries, Walmart strawberries, Walmart lettuce and cabbage and radishes and everything else with the Walmart logo on it, both regular and organic. Cut out the Sysco's of the world and so forth, U.S. Foods and whoever else is playing in that food service space, and basically cut down the amount of people involved from farm to fork drastically, because Walmart is big enough and I believe smart enough to be able to do that. And I think that in my opinion, I believe that companies like U.S. Foods and Sysco know that, and they're probably working on a way how to figure out to mitigate that situation. Because to me, if I'm Walmart, and it's all about dealing with companies like like Sysco again and U.S. Foods, wouldn't you want to cut out that added overlay of process and cost and whatever else they bring to the table, and just say, you know what, we're big enough to do it ourselves. And and I see where Walmart, we've just heard that Walmart and Oracle have bought TikTok. Obviously, Walmart's going to use that as a proprietary brand marketing platform for themselves, and I think that that's a good thing, and I give them a lot of credit. So to be able to position themselves as a food service company, I think is not a stretch for them at all. They're already doing the majority of what a food service company does, and I think that to cut out their existing food service partners is the last step in that journey.
Well, just like anything, remember, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. It just depends on which battles they get into. But seeing Walmart into TikTok, that was that's very, very interesting, because that's definitely a great way to market whatever whatever you're selling. There's no question there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. But I just wanted to say, hey, Joel, you've been a good friend on LinkedIn for a long time, and I know I spent all my time talking about all the foods and all the beverages that everybody makes and all the different states and all the different departments, and you do something a little different. And everybody that I deal with kind of needs somebody like you, whether they have somebody in-house or not in the house. I would say the majority of people that I know don't have any creative in the house, so they got to go knocking on your door. So
right.
I just wanted to go ahead and introduce you, to the possibility of 40,000 followers that are out there. So
I appreciate it.
You just never know you just never know who's watching.
Absolutely. All I can say is, Randall, thank you for being a good friend. I really value the help that I get from you and Calvin. And my phone is always on. My door is always open. I'm always interested to talk to people about how I can elevate their brand and take it up to the next level. That's what I do as an ahead of the curve creative director and product brand developer.
Hey, one thing I want to tell you, you can describe me in all kinds of different ways, but creative is not in my in my description. I'm more of an analytical guy. I'm not a creative guy. So I'll ask you all those questions. Okay. I'll see what you think. So anyway, we're gonna knock it off right here. And just wanted to remind everybody, we got that big Texas promotion where Calvin's going to pick the name out of the hat for La Casita Salsas, Van's Kitchen Egg Rolls out of Dallas, out of your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And Texana brand olive oil, probably not too far from where you're at. So when you're driving through Texas, look for the olive trees. They're somewhere. They're being processed right now. So I'll knock it off right here. And thanks for being a guest. And
thank you for having me.
We'll see everybody soon.
Bye.
Okay. Take care. See ya. And I just have to hit this red